Hey, so
Yeah.
I know we're like 3 minutes late, so I'm gonna start the meeting so we can just go on and move this on. First of all, I want to apologize to everybody because of the delay we have 3 times because technical issues that we have. I want to apologize to everybody for that. I know it's not easy. And you know, some of us are kind of hard to get together, but when we do, we don't expect to have technical problems, so we apologize for that. So sorry about that. So I'm gonna start the meeting. Are we recording already?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So it's 6:03. This is the zoning commission meeting. It's Tuesday, September 13, 2022. We have one thing on the agenda, which is SW Dixon Street, aka 1100 Dixon Street, right? Correct?
Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna do roll call. And then we'll go from there. Walter Gold.
Here.
Eddie Colvin.
Here.
George Bruce. And Ryan Hayes.
Present.
All right. Okay, so, and Normal Dan, which is me, and we're 4 of us, and we're in total here. I want to introduce 2 people that are part of the zoning commission, which is Michael Jackham. He's our Springfield's code enforcement zone administrator. And we have a brand new secretary, and I want to congratulate her to our team.
Thank you.
Maggie Rodriguez. Thank you, Maggie,
Thank you.
for being part of our team. Thank you. Appreciate that. My name is Norman. I'm going to be the steward of this meeting today. So I'm going to read some rules. I'm going to do my best to read them. They're a little complex here, but according to the open meeting rule, there's 2 parts to this meeting due to the open meeting law. All right. The first meeting is to hear the plaintiffs and the case that they're describing of issues that they're applying for and discrepancies that they want to bring up to par. The second part of the meeting would be to vote. So just to make sure you understand that the first part is just to review the case. We're gonna have another meeting then we'll do the voting there. We're gonna give a chance for the plaintiff to testify and to give description of their purpose of the zoning change. And as well, we're gonna give a chance for the opponent to also testify and give their side of the review. We accept any materials, which we got a nice package, by the way, well detailed, like that, like when it's like that. We got the recommendation from our zoning department as well. And any other materials that you may have, you want to present today, will be more than welcome to review. That as well go to the opponent. If they have any materials or anything that they want to present, they'll have the opportunity to do that as well. The board will then take quorum and make a decision the following week, but we'll go into conversation and talk about the issue or the actual zoning change that you're looking to do. I will swear everybody in to testify. They will likely want them to say their name out loud and the address so we could hear them and be clear of who they are as we do the testimony. We want to make sure that we record that as we're recording. We will, sorry, give me a second. Just reviewing this to make sure we follow the rules of the law. So this board does have no power to make changes that are financial changes like that. We only review the case on hardship, and we'll review the case on the hardship itself for us to make a decision. We want everybody, in this case, there's no doors. So we would please make sure that we keep the sound to a minimum. Who's ever talking and has at the floor to please be clear and loud, and the person that's not to be cautious of that as well. With that said, I want to start the first case, which is the plaintiff. So who we have as a plaintiff? I'm sorry, is it Ellen?
Hi.
Hi, Ellen.
I will speak, represent Verizon Wireless, Telco Partnership doing business as
Okay.
Verizon Wireless.
So Ellen, before you start, I need to swear you in. So I'm gonna have you either raise your hand, and when I say I, you say your name. All right.
Mhm.
I
Ellen Fryman,
solemnly swear sincerely and truthfully. You have to repeat.
solemnly swear
Sincerely and truthfully.
sincerely and truthfully
Declare that declare that the information given the testimony today
declare that the information and testimony given today
shall be the truth and nothing but the truth.
shall be the truth and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. All right, you're sworn in. So we will give you the floor, and you could give your name out loud and your address, and then we'll start from there.
Sure. Ellen Fryman. I'm an attorney with Schatz, Schwartz and Fenton. The address is 1441 Main Street in Springfield. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. And I certainly understand the technical difficulties that arise in our new way of doing things. So thank you for giving up time out of your evenings, several evenings of the summer. So now early September. So we're here because Verizon Wireless has a tower at 1100 Dickinson Street. It's been there since 2015. It's an 80-foot tower. And we're here because Jay, so with me tonight, I'll just introduce Jay Latore, who's Verizon Wireless's radio frequency engineer. Kip DeVito is also a radio frequency engineer with Verizon, and Mike Libertine is our environmental consultant with Verizon. So, and Jay has some visuals to put up. Do you have the ability to screen share?
So Maggie, can you share the screen for Jay? Or who is it?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I don't have the ability to share right now. It says the host has disabled it.
Okay, no problem. So could we get that by email or someone later on? Is that okay with you guys?
There's no way to share to.
Is there a way? To share?
On the bottom, it should
Technical
say
team.
share screen.
Who spoke to me about sharing before? I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is Jay Latore with Verizon Wireless. Yeah, Attorney Fryman, I see the button to share, but it's been disabled by the host. So the host, presumably Ms. Rodriguez, would have to authorize me. Mr. Roldan would have to change something.
So so Maggie, what you need to do is you'll see the share button in the bottom. You'll click on it and it'll give you options of people. You could pick Jay, and Jay could then share his document. If you're not sure, I don't want to screw the meeting up. I don't want.
I know, me either. I only have mute, video, security, participants, share.
Share, that's it. Share. So you have to hit share.
Share, okay.
Correct. And then in share, you tell me what you see.
Oh, yeesh. Whiteboard, iPad, Acela, chat, Microsoft Teams.
I don't think you're.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll just
let's.
go without it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. I don't want to look the technical means.
Okay, I'll tell you what you would have seen. So the first shot was going to be a Google shot of the area, and what you would see is that you wouldn't see the tower because it's a very wide area of tree cover, and the tower currently is buried within the trees. So the trees now have grown above the 80-foot height of the tower, and in order to get a signal out so that there's service in the area, we have to be above the tree line. So by increasing the 80-foot tower by 30 feet to 110 feet, that will get us above the tree line, and so that we can now, have a signal that would, allow people to have a good experience on their phones and other devices. So you would also see that even though, we need a variance for setback, that, we're nowhere near any buildings at this point because of, where the JCC is one of our abutters, but they're the building's over 500 feet away. And then Park Edge Apartments is also far from the site. So according to the zoning ordinance, the setback has to be twice the height of the tower. So 200% of the height of the tower. So that would make it, originally it was 160 feet. So because it was 80 plus 80, so it was 160 feet. Now, because we're 110, it has to be 220 feet. So we originally came and got a variance when we put the tower up originally, because we were shy from the JCC setback line. Now, because of the increase in the height, we also are shy the setback requirement from Park Edge Apartments. So tonight we're actually asking for variances from both setbacks. But again, we are still well, as you would have seen from the site plan, and if you do have copies of the plans, we are still going to be because it's double the height, we're well within the an area where if there was any issue, which there, this is the worst case scenario that tower were to fall, it would be well within, far away from where any building would be. We also need to obtain the variance because we are abutting a building with a school. So even though the JCC is not a school, but it has a preschool in it. So and then the Park Edge Apartments, so it's residential. So that's why we're here. We did, like I said, we got a variance back in 2015 when the tower was built. We needed a special permit for this increase, which we already have gotten. We went to the neighborhood council and we have a letter which was submitted that was a favorable letter. We have a favorable report from the planning department. I talked to Georgetown, the condo association, and Park Edge Apartments. They were complaining because they had a bad signal and just happy to know that we were going to improve service for them. So we haven't run into anybody that has any concern with what we're doing, and actually are happy to hear that we're doing this. So we're increasing it to the minimum amount that we think will have the effect of increasing and improving service. Nothing is happening on the ground. Everything will stay as it is. It's just increasing, where the antennas are going on the tower. And so we have to satisfy requirements for variance under the zoning regulations, and I provided a narrative of how we do that, which is, that it would create a hardship, and not being able to increase the tower would create a hardship, and that we wouldn't be able to provide the service that Verizon is required to provide, and that the community in that area is looking for. And I provided a lot more detail, but I'll just summarize it since you do have the written report. That relief, if granted, would not be detrimental. In fact, it would be beneficial to the community by providing better quality service, and that it wouldn't derogate from the intent or purpose of the ordinance. And actually, the Springfield ordinance states that the purpose of it is to provide general safety and welfare and quality of life of the community. And that is exactly what we're doing by allowing people to use their cell phones in case of emergency, and allow them to work from home and do all the things and use all the devices that they use safely and at their pleasure. So, we made a case for how we do satisfy those requirements. So at this point, I guess we'll open it up for any questions.
All right, so anybody else wants to speak on behalf of the proposal?
Mr. Chair, can I just ask one question?
Yeah, well, I was gonna give you a chance once anybody spoke,
right.
I'll give you guys a chance, to speak, all right? Anybody wants to speak on behalf of the proposal? Anybody wants to speak on against the proposal? If there's anybody out there that wants to speak against the proposal? If there's anybody out there that wants to speak against the proposal? Okay. I normally do 3 times just in case somebody didn't hear me. So I guess at this point, I'm going to open up to my colleagues for questioning. So Walter, you could ask a question. You got your hand raised. So.
Tell them, it's a two-part question. Number one, what was the neighborhood council you went before? Do you remember?
Sorry, what was it? It was kind of in echoey.
What was the neighborhood council?
Which council?
Yeah.
The Forest Park Civic Association.
Okay, and I know we're gonna put you back. When are you planning to get this done?
When we plan to get this done? Jay, do you have a sense of how soon this will be built? I know there already has been a building permit issued, so I think this was a pretty high priority originally. If that is still the case, I don't know, Jay, if you have any other information.
I could speak to it, but before I speak to it, Mr. Chairman, do I need to be sworn in as well?
Yes, Jay, exactly. Thank you for looking out for that. You do have to be sworn in, Jay. So repeat after me. I,
Juan Latore,
solemnly swear and sincerely and truthfully
solemnly swear, sincerely and truthfully,
declare that all my testimony today
declare that all of my testimony today
shall be truthfully, honestly,
be truthfully and honestly.
That's it. We'll go with that one. All right. So you're sworn in, my friend. Go ahead.
Very, very well. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Juan Latore. I reside at 122 Forest Hills Road in Springfield, Massachusetts. Feel free to call me Jay. Just to answer briefly Mr. Gould's question, I think the best way to say it is as soon as possible, but I would suspect that construction would not start before 2023 because I believe that the, like a lot of things right now with supply chain, the big challenge is getting the extension. So without going into all the details, the way in which this project gets done is that the tower was pre-designed to be able to accept a 30-foot extension on it. So that is how we'll go from the 80 to 110 feet. So that extension needs to be manufactured, fabricated, shipped, installed. And so I suspect that's going to take a couple of months. But as Attorney Fryman mentioned, since we are working in parallel with the other regulatory requirements of the city, as soon as we have everything that we need to mobilize, we will.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Jay, this is Ryan Hess. Just a quick question in terms of the longevity of this project. We started at 80 feet, now we're going to 110, and Attorney Fryman rightfully noted that trees continue growing. How much higher than the tree line will this extension go? And if those trees were to go above that, what's the next plan, or is that sort of an unreasonable expectation?
Thank you, Mr. Hess, for your question. Good evening. So I want to answer your second question first, which is really how much further might we go? One thing, again, I work as a radio frequency design engineer. I'm not in construction engineering, but I do believe that the tower with the extension is maxed out at 110 feet. So if for any reason, Verizon identified a need or another carrier identified a need to go higher, as best as I could tell, that would anticipate a tower tear down and rebuild, which certainly would anticipate, trigger a lot of different regulatory requirements than what we had before us with this particular project. So I certainly don't anticipate going any higher than this. We were sensitive to the fact that this is a residential neighborhood when we built this proposal. That's why, we built it at what we thought was the bare minimum height needed at the time. we probably were a little too conservative with that height at the time. I think to your first question, this is going to put us somewhere between 20 to 25 feet above the tree line. So that's going to achieve two things without being an arborist or a forestry expert. That's going to give us quite a bit of clearance. It may also, should another carrier become interested in co-location, it's going to create space for them to co-locate above the trees as well. That's probably the best I can look into the future right now to answer your question.
That's really helpful. Thanks, Jay.
Good, thank you.
Any questions?
No, I'm good.
All right, I have one question. So a cousin of mine does do antennas in the island, and this is something that's not only gonna the higher you go, the better the signal and the further you go as well. So your hardship is kind of unusual because it's not monetary towards money, but it is something that it is for our citizens in the city. So the hardship comes to our citizen. And when I say that, meaning in many ways, because we have medical resources that we use antennas as well, as we well know, elderlies that may count on this antenna, and businesses and our local citizens. So to me, that's unusual. So how far and how further out would you reach now, Jay, if you go higher?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Chairman. At the risk of extending the meeting longer, what I'd like to ask actually is that my colleague, Mr. DeVito, gets sworn in so he can speak to that, please.
Right. Mr. DeVito, you're on. Let me swear you in, okay?
Yes, hi.
I,
Kip Joseph DeVito,
solemnly swear and seriously and truthfully
solemnly swear seriously and truthfully
that this testimony today
that this testimony today
is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
All right, you're in. You're sworn in.
Thank you. Our address is 20 Alexander Drive in Wallingford, Connecticut. I trust that you all can hear me okay, since you're my okay.
Perfect. Yes.
Well, thank you for having us this evening. I provided a couple of coverage maps in my affidavit that I believe was submitted. And those maps are 700 megahertz coverage, and I did it both at our current height and our proposed height. And there's three colors in particular, and I apologize if you hear my kids screaming in the background. So the coverage that you're looking at there, you see the green coverage is really important. It's our in-building coverage. It's the most reliable service that would be emitting. The yellow coverage is in-vehicle service, and then the gray coverage around that would be our reliable, what we consider reliable outdoor service. And as you can tell from a couple of years past, network trends have changed. People have been working from indoors a lot more. Vehicle coverage obviously is very important. And you can see here, the population nearly doubles, if not a little bit more, from this simple, 25, 30 foot tower extension. I don't know if I could give a square mile per se, but you can clearly see that throughout the southern part of Springfield and surrounding areas, that the coverage area in those maps greatly grows from this tower extension, giving a much more reliable service to the residents, both in building, in vehicle, and outdoors.
Thank you. That's good to know. All right, anybody else has any questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add to Mr. DeVito's testimony, I would just also like to mention, as a Springfield resident, as someone that travels Forest Park a lot, I do think, although we can't necessarily quantify Forest Park in population, But I do think, and if you look at the maps, it's a highly vegetated area.
Yeah.
And that backside of Forest Park is going to see some improvement, which I really think, one thing we didn't talk about is public safety and the need to have reliable service when people are out on the trails and things like that. So that's a further hardship for the community that we hope that our proposal will further minimize. Thank you.
Yeah, that does, that falls under the safety, and you're right. That's noted on our side as well. So anybody else has any questions for the team?
Mr. Chairman, Walter Gould, just one question. Is this meeting going to be continued to next Tuesday or next Wednesday? Just to clarify for the petitioners.
Yes, no problem. Maggie, you have Mike or Maggie, any idea in the next meeting?
I'm fine either way. I mean, it's typically 7 days. I mean, but I think, I think you guys can.
Yep, you're saying?
I think you guys can move forward on, Tuesday or Wednesday, typically it is 7 days. I mean, at least
So
I
let
think
me do this. Let me ask our petitioner, are you guys okay if it's Tuesday?
We can make it work whatever day it works for you.
Okay, is my colleagues okay for Tuesday next week?
What's the date next Tuesday?
The
Fine with me.
20th. The 20th.
Mr. Chairman, Walter Gould, I'm good for next.
You good? Okay, Walter's good. Ryan, are you good?
I'm good.
Okay, and then Eddie, you good, right? You said?
I think I'm good.
Okay,
Tuesday.
We're talking 6 o'clock again?
6 o'clock, correct?
6
yeah.
o'clock, okay.
Okay. All right, so anybody makes motion to adjourn? So before we adjourn, let me just close out a little bit. So we heard your testimony, we heard your hardship. We talked about it as a team already. Well, we could talk about it in the next meeting unless the team wants to talk about it now. We could talk about it now or in the next meeting. You guys want to talk about it now or you want to talk at the next meeting?
you could wait to see if there's any public input.
Correct, I mean,
Doubt it.
Yeah,
but-
Mr. Chairman, let's I'll make a motion to adjourn and close for deliberations for next meeting, pending any public input.
okay, so Ryan made a motion to do the closing next week and review the case, and then we will close with the decision next week after that as well. So that's the end of this meeting. Thank you for participants of being here, and once again, we apologize for the delay and the technical problems, but we're gonna get through this. So motion to adjourn from anybody.
Walter Gould,
Ryan
motion to
just
adjourn.
adjourned. So second, anybody second?
Second, Walter.
Okay. So I have to do roll call once again. Walter Gold,
Yes.
Eddie Corbin,
Yes.
Ryan Hess,
Here.
and me as well. And we adjourned the meeting today. Thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next week.